There's currently a legal battle between the conservative news blog Tisches Einblick and the fact checker Corrective. This gives me the opportunity to introduce to you the equivalent of Snopes in Germany. I personally like Snopes, unlike Corrective, because sometimes you do need to come to the real sources of some rumors. For example, if you hear something that sounds a little bit too good, you want to find out whether you can quote that and if that really stands the test of research or not. And this is mostly true for stuff that does not have your usual online sources. You would not find the information straight on Wikipedia or on mainstream news sites, for example. So, or at least not directly. So what you do is you type it into your search engine and you emerge at places like Snopes. And even though I distrust their overall verdict, I actually appreciate their work. For example, there is the claim, let's say, that Hillary Clinton had 3 strokes last week and would die the following weekend. It sounds too nice to be true, so we just Google it or DuckDuckGo it, and then we stumble over Snopes. It says that's mostly false. Anything I'm going to read the body that they also include that tells us where they say they get the information from or how they arrive at their dubious claims mostly. And there you find out that Hillary Clinton didn't have 3 strokes. She did stumble over on a Monday morning. She had the dishes thrown at her by her daughter on Wednesday. And her husband was giving a speech on Friday and she hit the head on the table. So you consider there might be some explanation that is more down to earth, more plausible than the stroke idea. She might as well just be an intergalactic cockroach in human skin. So you take that into consideration and you realize, okay, even if you behead her right now, you would still have to wait for her to starve after she has cleared her fat deposits, which won't be before next weekend. So that's why I like Snopes. You get to the ground of these claims. You can research the head on the table bang incidents. You can research the dishes thrown at her instance and so on. And you finally make it to the truth. That's the starting point for your research, even though you do not share the ultimate verdict. With Corrective, the body of research or the text that gives you the idea where they have the information from is of a much lower quality. So this is not quite the same comparison, but they work in the same field. They are also the trusted partner of Facebook's, and that is where the story starts. Tisches Einblick had published an article that said that 500 scientists have written an open letter to the President of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, asking him to have a different and more critical approach to the climate change hysteria. Now, that was contested by Corrective, and as Tisches Einblick says, they do not mind Corrective just to publish on their website, we disagree, we have a different idea. They are not 500 scientists, but let's say 400 or whatever. That's fine. But they actually attached their finding or their understanding of the matter at the post, or the Facebook post where Tisches Einblick had originally linked their article. Now, what is their complaint? They say that of the 500 scientists, not all are still working at universities. So retired professors are no longer scientists, and this includes even the Nobel Prize winner Eva Giefver. I probably pronounced that incorrectly. The Norwegian physicist, Nobel Prize winner Eva Giefver. He won in 1973. He's an old man now, and he does not stand, in front of a class anymore. They also contest that some of those people on the list are not doing research in the university, but in private companies. Like they are working in research departments of some drug company, for example. I mean, medicine company. How do you call them? Anyway, that is what they contest. They don't say, well, you have put people on the list that are actually janitors. They just say, well, some of your names are people who have retired or work in different places from universities. There are also research institutions that aren't universities that I would respect as proper research institutions, but apparently Corrective does not. So this was the excuse why they attached themselves on the post of Tischis Einblick, and on every post that was a shared one of this one. What's peculiar about this is that Corrective does not have a good track record on its own. I mean, it's not just this example itself that they claim a retired professor is no longer a scientist and has no competence to speak about climate change. It's also that they make ludicrous statements on their own. One example that everybody internationally can easily discern as rubbish is that the editor-in-chief David Schraven claimed in 2016, after the election in the US, that Hillary Clinton was the winner. Hillary Clinton. And another case was that they would not fact-check the mainstream media. Also in November, but this time in 2019, there was a flurry of articles in our mainstream media, from the public broadcasters to the larger private publications, that claimed that 11,000 scientists warned of climate change. Now, what's peculiar about this is that in this list, not retired professors were speaking, not researchers in private companies were talking. No, this list even included Mickey Mouse. Not the scientist Mickey Mouse, the cartoon Mickey Mouse. And the other entries were probably of a similar quality. People checked on it. I did not really go into their checking again. So it was a highly contested list, let's say the least. But Corrective did not say anything. They were not suspicious about Mickey Mouse warning of climate change. They'd rather fact check conservatives. That's their business model, apparently. So what's annoying about their way of business is that they cooperate with Facebook. So they have not only the ability to attach themselves on that post that Tischis Einblick had posted on the social network. Apparently they have an eye in the corner that Facebook has added to every post of media organizations, apparently. I'm not on Facebook, so sorry that I have to qualify that all the time, but apparently they do have an eye for every media organization, and if you click on it, you will be warned that this is contested by this different publication, by Corrective, and there you will find a link to Corrective. Despite that link, they still don't have the same reach that Tischis Einblick has, or other conservative news blogs that they are hampering in that way. If you dare to share the post, they will attach a warning on your shared post that this is contested. So it's not like your viewers will have to click on something to be warned of what you want to say with that article. No, it is directly visible to your onlooker that this is contested. The problem really here is now that everybody comes to speak. That's fine. The problem is that really the place where one group wants to speak is occupied, or is used by the other group, while that does not work in the reverse. Tischis Einblick could not just leave a comment anywhere where Corrective is giving out their versions of what they believe is true, right? It's just one side fact-checking the other, but the other side does not come to talk back. That's what it is about. It's not about stifling speech. That's the claim right now Dunya Hayali, a journalist of the public broadcaster ARD, or no, such DF. Anyway, one of our public broadcasters. It's one thing anyway. She claims that this is an infringement of freedom of speech if you do not allow warnings to pop up when people want to read your articles. And this is actually what happens. I just did not mention it before, but when you dare to share that original post of Tischis Einblick, before you reach at your post being that copy of it with the attachment warning of it, you will see a pop-up that asks you if you really want to share an article that is contested by Corrective. I'm not kidding. So this was taken to the court for competitive law reasons. You cannot, under German law, you cannot impede your competitors. You can only, win the competition fair and square by providing better products and services. You cannot just destroy somebody else's business. So if you are using other people's product to, make it worse, like, attaching something on it, then you are impeding the competition. For instance, the Washington Post could not just go into a supermarket and put a sticker on every copy of the Wall Street Journal and say that this paper is rubbish by our paper. This would be the equivalent in the offline world if it were not for Facebook. We would not allow this. This is not fair competition. This is not fair and square. This is using the material, the platform of the other group for your own interests, against their wishes, and not allowing the reverse. I mean, that's the double whammy. If that were fair and square, if every newspaper publisher, also in the real world, not just online but also offline, would be free to clue stickers on the competitive publications, that would be also free market. That would be all right. But this bias in the market, that is punishable, or should be punishable according to our penalty code. However, the judges decided differently. So Tischis Einblick lost that case in the first instance. The judges, Dr. Tochtermann and Mr. Stielten, have not really given an argument. It seems that they hope that in a different instance, in the higher circuit, you would say in America, we call it a different instance of the court tract, that it would be appealed. They did not really give an argument, but they also do not want to, stick their heads out and be contested by all these mainstream media outlets and get their lives destroyed. So ultimately, this will be judged in future court cases, I assume. For now, Corrective is still allowed to pop up in front of your nose when you dare to read a conservative news blog, even though their track record of being honest is much worse, of course. Who is financing Corrective? There used to be a time when they made their donors more visible than now, but I do remember from previous research that it all started with the Prost Foundation. That was the exclusive, the sole donator at first, but later they expanded their list of givers, and they seem to include now even other publications. So it's very unlikely that they will objectively judge media publications on their own when they are receiving money from some of them. That's a very dubious thing, and it speaks length about Facebook. But on the other hand, it's nothing that we wouldn't think anyway of them right now. So who's the Prost Foundation? The main donor, I think, still today, and the donor that set Corrective on the track. That is a foundation that was initiated by a woman who who is strongly affiliated with the party of the Social Democrats, Anneliese Prost, and she wrote as the purpose of her foundation on the website of that foundation. Also, she left in the will, I think, that statement that they are promoting projects in the fields of arts, culture, youth and elderly care, as well as charitable work. So this is something like a Clinton Foundation. You get the idea. They are specialized in helping the old, but also the young, and also the poor, and also the arts, the rich. So they are basically giving money from one side to the other side, and it's probably how much they like you personally. They also say, and that's the major hint, that this is a left-wing organization for me. The Prost Foundation does not see itself as a regional social institution or repair company for failures and shortcomings of the past or of the public sector. So they make clear in their mission statement on the website that the public sector should actually do the stuff. They are just filling in here and there, but they are promoting the taxpayer to actually do these things. The elderly, the young, the arts, whatever they are doing, the public sector should basically do everything. And indeed, Anneliese Prost is a Hillary Clinton-style figure. She's not a poor duckling or something. She used to be, she's now dead, but she used to be the 47th richest person in Germany in the year 2007. And her estimated worth was 1.3 billion euro. 1.3 billion euro. So that's for the Social Democrats caring for the poor again. And currently the foundation is led by Bodo Hombach, who is a politician for the Social Democrats, and he used to be the chief of staff for the chancellor's office. So this is the elites checking the elites. Yeah. Please consider to like, share and subscribe. I'm not on all platforms. It helps me if you move my content to different platforms. I'm obviously not on Facebook. They have banned me after one single post, which was a stub of an article on Milo's blog, which just announced that he was going to give a speech. Yes, that was all. I did not include one single word of my own. Just copied and pasted the first article, the first paragraph, of his article to the editor of Facebook, and linked to Milo's blog, and that was enough for them to ban me. I assume that is because, I was giving the information that I'm residing in Germany, and therefore they are not as free when it comes to free speech as they would be in America or in Great Britain or any English-speaking country, because people would notice that something is going on. So they banned me after one single post, and I'm also not on Twitter because they claim that I had given a different email address. I receive a notification when I try to log in my inbox of the only email address that I had. So they do have the real email address, but when I try to log in, I get an error message, and asking the customer service, they tell me I used a different email. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.